Hello, everyone. I am Valorie Burton, founder of the CaPP Institute, and I am so excited to be able to share some insights and perspective from one of our graduates who is a part of our program. She has launched an amazing coaching program at the largest university in the country, Arizona State University, and she is a graduate not only of our Coach Training Intensive, but has been a part of our Certified Personal and Executive Coach program. So please welcome Marisel Herrera. How are you doing, Marisel?
I'm awesome. I'm doing great today, Valorie.
Well, I had the opportunity, recently to come out to Arizona State and actually speak on your campus, which was an amazing experience. You've got some pretty awesome students, and they truly are interested in personal development. And I could tell a lot of their enthusiasm comes from the enthusiasm you have for coaching. So tell me just a little bit about what exactly it is that you do.
Sure. So professionally, I'm the director of the First Year Success Center at Arizona State University, and I've been a higher education administrator and leader, and I'm also a coach for the last 20 years or so. And so the center is really charged with helping freshmen and sophomore students, thousands of them actually, to be successful in navigating their transition to college and through the first 2 years. So we use coaching as a way to retain students at the university. And help them to succeed at ASU.
That's amazing, because I know that first year can be so much of an adjustment. A lot of students find themselves, I did terribly from an academic perspective my first year. It's a big shift. Have you all been able to see that coaching is actually making a difference in helping you retain students at ASU?
Oh, absolutely. So the center has been around for about 3.5 years or so, and we collect quite a bit of data at ASU as a Research One university. And what we're seeing consistently is that students who have been coached by our center are more likely to return the next semester and the following year. So it's having a direct and measurable impact between those who have been coached and those who have not been coached at ASU through our center.
So how many coaches do you have in the center?
Sure. I have 75 peer coaches, and those coaches are upper division students, so juniors, seniors, all the way to PhD students who have done exceptionally well at the university, both inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So they are really strong academic students, but they're also students who have exhibited leadership, who have been involved in the community both on and off campus, and who really are sort of an embodiment, if you will, about what success can look like at a university. So
they're the examples, and then they get trained as coaches, and then they work with these students. I think I remember you telling me that you, over the course of each semester, have thousands of coaching sessions. Did I remember that correctly?
Yes. In fact, this past fall semester alone, we had over 8,000 coaching appointments.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. So when I say that we coach in mass, I really do mean the incoming class at ASU, the freshman class this year, was over 11,000 students.
Wow.
Because it's enormous. We have over 80,000 students total at ASU.
So, that's hard to imagine. I went to a university that had close to 30,000, and I thought that was very large. But I could see how students could even get lost in that environment, and how coaching could really be powerful in helping them make clear about their vision, overcome some of the obstacles, maybe even some of the fears that may be popping up as they head into their first year of college. So what made you want to come to our Coach Training Intensive, and how did you first find out about it?
Sure. I learned about CTI basically through your website, but I became acquainted with your work, as I've mentioned before, because I had started reading your books. In fact, when I was charged with I'm the founding director of the center. When I was charged with creating the center 3.5 years ago, I went to Florida, to Florida State University, on a business trip to check out their coaching program. And they had a private vendor coaching program. And as, God would orchestrate it, in the airport coming back in Tallahassee, I saw your book, Successful Women Think Differently, and I grabbed a hold of it, and I could not put it down. So my introduction to your work and to you by way of your books was literally at the same time that I was building the center. And so I became acquainted with Successful Women, and then I started reading a whole bunch of your other materials. And I think that's important to say because the center was at its infancy, and this was like the most incredible professional opportunity I had ever had in my career. And so your books actually coached me long before I met you. Coached me at one of the most critical moments in my life professionally, and they really undergirded me. And I applied what you were teaching in the books to myself as I was cultivating this program. So your work has been like seminal to the center. So I kept, consuming that and seeing the value in that, sharing that with anybody who listened, using some of the techniques that I was learning through the books. And when I started getting your blogs and getting on your website, and I realized, oh, my God, she actually has a whole training institute where I can learn how to do this in a more deepened way, I decided not to hesitate. So last year I went through CTI.
And how did that change what you do professionally? Because obviously you were already coaching, training your peer coaches there at ASU. When you think about the biggest takeaway for you in going through the coach training intensive, how would you describe it?
Well, it's hard to give you just one because, as I've shared before, the work that you've put out, both in your training institute and your books and your teleclasses, has literally been transformative in my own life. And I really believe that excellent coaches are people who have faced themselves first. And so as I started using those things in my own life, I think I just showed up better in my own life, and I showed up better not just personally, but professionally. So I became a stronger, more courageous, bolder person that would allow me then to become a stronger, more courageous leader of such a large initiative, a better coach, a better trainer, a better supporter of my professional staff. And so CTI was so powerful for me. I mean, I had been certified before. I have been through other types of trainings, but what was so powerful about CTI was that I came away not only with like tangible tools. So many people know they need to change. They know they want to lead, be a part of being a conduit for others' change, whether that's organizational or individually. And there's just so many opportunities to know the what and maybe even the why, but so few people teach you the how. And so CTI gave me the how. The how do you actually foster resilience? How do you ask powerful questions that can literally transform a person's life and paradigms and possibilities? And so it was really powerful because I got the how, and it resonated so deeply with my what and my why as a coach and as a professional. But even more importantly, and I'm just being very honest with this, a lot of the coaching materials that I've either read or been in trainings about have really focused on this notion of self-empowerment, self-care, and obviously coaching inherently is, about people taking ownership for their life. But what your institute did and what the community of people who went there as participants did was really demonstrate for me that the limitations of, if you will, just this self-improvement movement, that yes, we recognize the power we have in ourselves, but it's a power imbued to us by the power of God. And so your ability to take research-based, evidence-based, sound coaching technique and deliver it and show us how to use it without denying the critical aspect of God in our life was, I had never seen this before. I had never seen this before, and it was so profoundly validating for me, even as somebody who works in a secular public institution. So there was just, that resonated with me, to see a model that not only resonated with me spiritually and professionally, but one that was being delivered with at its core, and I don't know if this is intentional or not, but that was culturally relevant to me. was powerful as a woman of color doing this, that was applicable to everyday people, that the people that I work with, students, colleagues, professionals, these are not people who may necessarily have access to or know about executive coaching in private practice.
Right.
But these are people who want as much for their lives as anybody else. And so what I got from CTI was tangible tools, research-based tools, a community of like-minded people, but I also came away with this incredible fire in me to make this available to people who may not ever hire a private coach, and I'm not suggesting that coaching as a profession can be done just by anybody who just picks up a technique, but I believe that there are techniques that you teach so well that can enhance every conversation we have, whether we're certified coaches or not. And so that fire in me was about...
Really. At the core of it, it really is about being able to have that powerful conversation. And I know even for myself as a coach, when I first started coaching, it did transform how I communicated in my relationships, and being able to be more clear, more succinct, ask more powerful questions to get clarity and get on the same page. I mean, it's something that you don't necessarily expect when you're going through coach training, but it happens rather naturally, because while coaching is a conversation, you have conversations all the time that aren't necessarily coaching, but those tools and techniques are still relevant.
Yeah, and so I brought that back. I came back to the university, and I was like, oh, my God, this is so powerful. And so at that point, I adopted your training, your core training on the positive psychology framework, your Herrera model, all of those things I brought back to the center, and we began to apply them both in the training of my peer coaches. My peer coaches go through 80 hours of training during an academic year, and we front load quite a bit of it before the school starts. We use the Herrera model to anchor our coaching appointments, to give them a framework. I used a lot of the things that I had learned from your variety of books. We have your whole library here. And we use it as conversational pieces in our professional development. A lot of people who work in higher education are female, so your female voice, even though your stuff is applicable to everybody, really resonates. And so we've used it in a number of ways, and the feedback has been incredible from both our coaches, both my professional staff in-house, and a whole host of other people that I coach or mentor formally or informally at the university. In fact, there's one woman here, I don't want to forget to tell you this, but one of the deans here came to your talk. When you came to ASU, when you did the talk for faculty and staff, Dr. Golden was in your talk, and I just ran into her recently, and she told me that she had bought copies of Successful Women Differently, and that is the summer reading project for her entire professional staff in student affairs.
Wow.
I mean, this has been reverberations, and I tell you, I'm not just a fan. This stuff is powerful, and I'm seeing the impact on so many different people. So she's using that as her summer reading professional development.
I love it. I love it. Tell her that, brought a big smile to my face. Well, let me ask you this. So the person that has no coaching background, they're not like you. They hadn't gone through previous coach training, and they're thinking about it. They might feel intimidated. Gosh, you've got coaches going through the program. You've got psychologists going through the program. Can I really learn it? What would you have to say to that person that doesn't have a coaching background but wants to go through CTI?
I would tell them that what they're going to find at CTI is not at all intimidating, is not at all elitist or positional. In fact, I think you guys do an incredible job from day one to help us sort of suspend our egos, and you do that through your own example. I felt that within the first 5 minutes of that, because I had some of those apprehensions because I'm not in private coaching per se in the way that I expected others would be there. And I think that what they're going to find there is an affirming, defining experience that's going to leave them changed for the better. If their experience is anything like mine, which I believe it'll be even better because I think you get better with time, is that they're going to be invigorated by a really meaningful and generous community, generous of spirit, generous in sharing best practice, not egocentric environment, a really authentic network of people who care about the things that they care about, regardless of what industry they're doing it in. I think they're going to leave there equipped with really, really powerful and simple and solid tools, both to advance their coaching practice as well as the business end of it, which I think is sorely missing from so many others. And they're going to leave there on fire. I mean, on fire personally and professionally to whatever their next step is. It has been one of the best investments of my life, Valorie, and I'm kind of a professional and personal development junkie. Okay, I've been strength-based certified. I am a constant learner. I've been in national programs, fellowship programs. I mean, I've had a lot of experience with programs that are excellent. And CTI and the CaPP Institute is of the highest caliber.
Wow. I truly appreciate your feedback. And I guess I just want to end on this note, which I know it's hard for you to pick one thing. It seems like there was quite an impact for you professionally as well as personally in going through CTI. And you brought such a wonderful energy when you were at CTI. But, you know, there are people that are listening, and I think it's really helpful sometimes for us to just kind of share from the heart. So when you think about what this did for you on a personal level, if there was just one takeaway you could share of how this has helped you or changed you, what would that be?
The combined experience of CTI and just the integrity and the power and, quite honestly, the anointing upon your work has not only been transformative for me, but I'm more courageous. I'm more powerful as a leader, as a human being, because I was in an environment that forced me to ask courageous questions of myself, to face myself, to let me know that I could be more than I had ever been, that I could get past fears, self-sabotaging beliefs, and that had such integrity to it. I believe I have more integrity and alignment in my life because of the training and the implementation of the coaching techniques that I learned through you and through CTI. I have more integrity in my life.
Well, that's huge, and it's necessary to be a really effective coach and certainly an effective leader. But it takes courage. It really does. When we talk about being in full integrity, sometimes there are things that you have to tell the truth about, whether to yourself or to others.
And Valorie, I wrote my book as soon as I left CTI. I left there and I wrote my own coaching book. I came back. It wasn't just like I had a great experience, a bunch of notes. Not only did I implement it, but I came back believing that I could finally say yes to.
Yes.
And do what God had told me to do years before. And I said yes, and I published my book the same year. I wrote this in large part because of what happened there, for this vision that got catalyzed, for just the incredible power that was in that experience. So if I get excited, it's because I can't help myself. It was that impactful.
And I didn't realize that the CTI was connected to the publishing time frame of the book. That's incredible.
Yes,
that's incredible.
I had barely started scratching the surface on that, and I was getting discouraged, and I was like, no, I have to do this. You know, when you assemble the kind of community that you assembled at CTI, there was a unity of purpose.
Yeah.
That was there.
Because
there was something there.
People, they're like you. It's like-minded people coming together.
It's beautiful, and it's spiritual, and it's powerful, but it's also just very organic. And it is, I mean, it really is one of my best memories was just being in this place that was so affirming of my purpose, of my passions, but like exponential in the room, right? You found your tribe, you know.
Incredible.
You found your co-laborers.
Yep, exactly. Your tribe. Marisel, I so appreciate you being willing to share, and I'm so proud of the work that you're doing at Arizona State. You put so much passion into it, and it's changing lives. I mean, just the statement, 8,000 coaching appointments per semester.
In one semester.
It's truly amazing, and for it to be a program that's only a few years old, and I know you stood it up from scratch, assembled the team, all of those things, and to see the success that you're having in helping to retain students. I just want to congratulate you on what you're doing and let you know that we love that the work that we have done has helped you in that endeavor out at ASU. So thank you so much for taking the time to have a conversation with me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.